Hello, my name is Brittany Telez, and I am the Volunteer and Community Engagement Manager for Senior Services, and I am here to guide you through the online orientation process. So this video is the general orientation video, and depending on what program you'd like to volunteer for, there may be additional videos for you to watch, but this one is one that everyone will watch because I'm going to share with you some general information about the agency and what you should expect as we continue the onboarding process. So I'm going to share my screen and we will go through a quick PowerPoint presentation that will guide us through our orientation today. So today we will go through an introduction. I'll introduce you to myself and the agency. We will look at a program orientation video as a part of that introduction. We will go through some key points in the volunteer handbook, and then we'll talk about next steps and what you should expect to happen next. So who we are. Senior Services is a nonprofit organization that helps older adults living in Forsyth County remain at home, living with dignity, and aging with purpose through a variety of programs and services. Our core values. The following values are the fundamental beliefs of this organization and inform how we bring life to Senior Services mission. Our core values are the guiding principles that shape behavior and decision-making. Adherence to the core values is a part of every employee's performance evaluation. Respect for others. At all times, we are respectful of participants, volunteers, donors, visitors, vendors, co-workers, and others, demonstrating civility and an appreciation for the dignity of all people. Teamwork. Every Senior Services employee is a critical member of our team and is committed to collaboration and compromise towards the achievement of our common goals. We are strengthened by the diversity of our team and affirm the unique contributions of each individual employee. Integrity. We are committed to being open, honest, and forthright in all we do. The resulting trust ensures a level of efficiency, effectiveness, productivity, and service critical to achieving our mission. Mission-driven excellence. We are committed to providing the best possible service to our community. To that end, our staff and volunteers are committed to performing to the best of their ability and accept responsibility for the quality of their work. We are accountable to our participants, the community, and one another. And what I will say about our core values is that I have been an employee here for just a little more than a year. I've been in more than one position since then. I started at the front desk at the hub and then moved into the position of volunteer coordinator in June. And in the time that I've been here, I can say that this is truly an organization that stands by its core values. They're not just something on paper or something that you see on a poster on the wall, but I can truly say that this organization stands for integrity, mission-driven excellence, respect, and teamwork. So we are going to look over a program volunteer orientation video that's going to show you about our different programs, just to give you an idea of how many different programs we have and some of the places that you may serve within the organization.
Hi, my name is Marcia Campbell, and I'm the Campbell Resource Coordinator for Senior Services Policy.
Okay, so I'm going to pause it right there and just say that, our mission is to help older adults remain in their homes as long as possible, living with dignity and aging with purpose. And our volunteer force is an incredible part of that. So each of the programs that you just saw, volunteers help make those programs happen and come to life. And our volunteer program actually has its own mission statement, which is that volunteers greatly enhance our ability to help seniors live with dignity and purpose. We provide volunteers with experiences that they will find meaningful and impactful while fully utilizing their talents and passions. So the volunteer experience isn't just about what you're giving to our services and our participants, but it's also about what we can offer you through the experience of sharing in service. So we do have a volunteer handbook. We want to provide the information that you will need to feel prepared for service and have a rewarding experience. No one volunteers to waste their time or do a bad job. So we want to make sure that we have everything, that we equip you with everything that you will need in order to be successful in your role and feel like you're really prepared and you really know what you're doing and you can get out there and make the best use of your time. The volunteer handbook provides general understanding of senior services and how we serve the community, the volunteer's role within the agency, organizational policies and procedures, safety guidelines, and how to stay connected. So the full volunteer handbook can be found online at seniorservicesinc.org/current volunteers. So a really cool thing about our volunteer program is that our current volunteers actually have their own webpage. And you can find a copy of the volunteer handbook there, but then we're also going to go over a few key points from the handbook right now. So ethics and conduct, our volunteer handbook does have a section about the code of conduct and the code of ethics. As a senior services volunteer, you are an ambassador for the agency to program participants and the community. We ask that your behavior while performing your volunteer assignment reflect the senior services core values and mission statement. The code of ethics, senior services volunteers respect participants' right to self-determination, act honestly, truthfully, fairly to all, exercise compassion to all participants regardless of race, religion, gender, sexual orientation, political affiliation, socioeconomic status, or any other factor. And senior services volunteers are courteous to participants and staff. So I'm going to pause right here for a moment and just kind of highlight the fact that, you know, in this type of volunteer service, you will meet a lot of different people potentially, and a lot of different kinds of people. We all come from different walks of life. We all come from different backgrounds, different socioeconomic statuses, and the way that we live can be shaped by our cultural backgrounds as well. So in volunteering and in providing a service like ours to the community, it's important to understand that we're all different and we all live differently. And as we serve others, we need to respect others' rights to live the way that they choose to live. One of our programs, Meals on Wheels, is more than just a meal. We actually go out, and in the process of delivering the meal, we provide safety checks for those participants. Occasionally, when you're going into a participant's home, you may see things that are different than the way that you might live, but we need to remember to be respectful of their choices and how they choose to live. Their home may not look the way that you think their home should look, but it's still their choice, and we need to respect that. Our main concern is making sure that they are safe and that they are provided for. The code of conduct. Senior services volunteers maintain professional boundaries with staff and participants, protect the privacy and confidentiality of staff and participants, avoid conflict of interest, do not respond to media inquiries, and submit all required documentation or recording of hours in a timely manner. One thing I will say about the documentation and recording of hours is that as an agency who accepts federal funding for grants and programs such as Meals on Wheels, it's important for us to make sure that we are in compliance with a lot of things. And so there are times when part of your volunteer assignment will include documenting, you know, perhaps what time you delivered your last meal. Well, it's important that you get that information back to us on time so that we can be in compliance with who we report to as well. Confidentiality. Senior Services respects the privacy of all program participants. All volunteers are expected to maintain the confidentiality and the privacy of each participant, both past and present. Information regarding any program participant shall not be disclosed in a form which identifies the participant to any other person or agency. Volunteers will refrain from discussing participants with anyone except appropriate staff. So what I will say about this is just remember it's a small world. You may come in and volunteer on an assignment and have a great experience, and you may be answering the phones one day and have a really great conversation with someone who called in to ask a question. Well, in the process of that, you may have learned their name, you may have learned information about a particular need that they have. And it's important that you make sure that you kind of keep those things within the senior services bubble. So people who are assigned to help, staff that will be able to help in their situation or provide them with service, absolutely need to know, the details of that conversation. However, outside in the community, we ask that you refrain from discussing participants. You may say something like, I had a conversation today with the sweetest lady. We were talking about her dog, Barney. And, I just thought it was cute because I had a dog named Barney when I was growing up, but she called because she needs help with Meals on Wheels, and her, children just really aren't taken care of her the way they should be. Well, for all you know, that could be someone's aunt and they recognize, who it is because of the dog named Barney. So you want to make sure that you kind of keep those things to yourself and keep them within the agency. Another reason we need to make sure that we are keeping things within the agency is HIPAA. Senior services staff and volunteers are expected to protect all participant information in compliance with HIPAA regulations. So some examples of confidential information include names of participants, route sheets, addresses, information about medical conditions, caregiver information, and etc. So another example is that you're going out to deliver Meals on Wheels. And as you deliver meals, we give you a route sheet, which is a list of all the places that you'll go, all the participants that you'll see that day, their names, their addresses, and it may have things like participant is hard of hearing or has hearing loss. Make sure you knock loudly. Well, those are things that the participant may not be comfortable with the average person knowing. So we ask that you protect their information the same way that you would want your information protected, and just keep it within the senior services agency. Volunteers are asked to refrain from discussing any information regarding program participants except in the nature of their assignment. Removing any written information from senior services facilities unless explicitly approved by their supervisor, and acknowledging that a person is a senior services program participant to persons outside of the agency. So what we're asking is that unless it's a situation like a route sheet that we've given you something and you're taking it out to deliver the meals, that any documents that have participant information need to stay here inside the building. So if you're a volunteer that's helping us make phone calls and we give you a list of people to call, we ask that list remain here in the building, so that those program participants' information, is kept safe. Photography and film. So photographs and film of participants and volunteers are sometimes used in promotional, social media, or other means by senior services to promote our mission. These images are frequently used on, but not limited to, Facebook, Instagram, senior services website, Twitter, and blogs. So the lovely picture above is an example of someone who was doing in-home art lessons. And these photos, this particular one was taken by a professional photographer who comes in once a year and, helps us document the stories of the services that we provide. So in addition to that once a year, big thing where we obviously get permission from everyone to say, hey, this is the thing that we're doing. And we share those photos as gifts to the participants that are willing to be in the photos. We also regularly take pictures of the things that are going on, just so that people in the community are aware of what type of services we provide, and it helps them know if they need help, they can come to us. Sometimes you can read a list of services that someone may need, but if you can look at a picture and see yourself in the picture and know, I identify with what I see, it can tell the story of how we can help. So pictures are very important to us. And as a volunteer, there may be times where you're in some of those photographs. For participant privacy, to protect the privacy of participants, volunteers are asked not to take any video or photographs or participants or their home or the home of a participant on an electronic device, such as a cell phone, camera, or tablet, without the permission of a participant. So for example, if you're out delivering meals one day and you want to take a picture while you're delivering the meals, well, we ask that you not take a picture with the participant in the photo. If a participant asks and says, hey, will you take a picture of me? Then the best thing to do is to use their phone or their camera to take a picture of them and then leave it with them and not take it with you. As far as volunteer privacy is concerned, the staff of senior services frequently takes pictures of volunteers, which could be used for promotional or social media purposes. Volunteer consent is assumed unless verbally stated otherwise at the time the picture is taken. So we're always running around with cameras and just snapping photos of things for social media and marketing materials and things like that. And at any point in time, if you don't want to be in a picture, that's fine. Just let us know and we'll make sure that we don't take the picture of you. We'll come from a different angle. We'll capture the activity some other kind of way. Just make sure that you let us know at that time, because again, consent is assumed. If you do want to opt out of taking any photos at all, we do have a form for that. So if you just blanket statement, I don't ever want to be in any pictures or participate in that, that's fine too. That's your choice. Just let me know, when I'll share my contact information at the end of this presentation, but just let me know and I'll be more than happy to get the form for you so that you can do that. Social media and technology. So Senior Services, Inc. takes no position on your decision to participate in social networking activities. However, it is the right and duty of the organization to protect itself from unauthorized disclosure of information. Senior Services, Inc.'s social networking policy includes rules and guidelines for company-authorized social networking and personal social networking, and applies to all management, staff, and volunteers. So the opinions and views expressed on social media by volunteers of Senior Services are not considered to be their own and do not necessarily reflect the opinions, views, and values of Senior Services, Inc. Volunteers are invited to associate themselves by tagging, mentioning, liking, checking in, etc. with Senior Services when posting about organizational events and activities. So for example, if you are at one of our special events, you're having a blast, you want to snap a quick selfie and post it, you're more than welcome to tag Senior Services and say something like, you know, hey, it was great to be at the Williams Adult Day Center today for the yard sale. I found a lot of great buys. We appreciate that. We appreciate you helping us get the word out about that particular activity and just being willing to associate yourself with us. That means a lot to us. We do ask that you not speak for the agency by saying something like, Senior Services had a yard sale today for the benefit of this, that, and the third, and Senior Services wants to wish you and your family, you know, a great afternoon. Well, that's a nice sentiment, but to say that Senior Services wants to do such, such, such out of your mouth rather than it coming from the agency, we do ask that you refrain from that, just to make sure that what comes from the agency has been, you know, approved and gone through the appropriate channels, and that it truly is a reflection of what it is that we're saying. So our policy about social and tech continued. This is just a quick list of some of the things that are prohibited. Speaking on behalf of Senior Services, Inc. is something that we do ask you not to do. Disclosing personal, employee, or non-employee information, and any other confidential, proprietary, or non-public information to which volunteers or staff have access. An example of this would be, you know, if you're delivering your Meals on Wheels route and you kind of want to snap a pic and say, hey, I'm delivering Meals on Wheels. Well, we ask that you would take a picture of something like the cooler that says Meals on Wheels on the side of it, as opposed to the route sheet, which would have participant information, names, contact information, and things like that. Personal information, which would not need to get shared across social media. We also ask that you refrain from engaging in dishonorable personal conduct online that is inconsistent with the organization's core values, including but not limited to inflammatory and or discriminatory language based upon race, ethnicity, sexual orientation, religion, and or physical disability. So if we ever post something and you like it or you want to comment on it, we ask that in the comments you please refrain from cyberbullying or, you know, just inappropriate conduct, things that would make others uncomfortable or things that would make you uncomfortable if the tables were turned and you were in that situation. Access to Senior Services technology is for job-related purposes only. All electronic communication systems and all information transmitted by, received from, or stored in these systems are the property of Senior Services. So some of your volunteer assignments may include tasks that involve the computer or accessing our servers for information. And all of that information is to stay within Senior Services. It's not something that you have a legitimate need to kind of disseminate or pass on. So it needs to stay here with us. We appreciate your service, but we do ask that you be considerate of that kind of proprietary information, and making sure that we don't share any information that will be outside of HIPAA in the process of doing that. So just make sure that when you access our systems, when you use our computers, that you're using it specifically for the task that you're given and not for anything else. Attendance. So your presence here at Senior Services is very important. Program participants and staff are counting on your help to bring the mission to life. Please contact your volunteer coordinator in advance if you will not be able to complete your assignment. During bad weather, volunteers can check with WXRI or call our short fare office at 336-725-0907 or the Williams Adult Day Center at 336-724-2155. So you can call those numbers for information regarding whether or not we're open, if we are having inclement weather. And if you feel unsafe, please do not come in. You know, we all live in different areas, and so your part of the county may, you know, just be a lot worse than what we may be experiencing here on our side of town. So if it's unsafe for you to come in, please, your safety is important to us. Do not come. On a regular daily basis, when there isn't an issue of inclement weather, we ask that you please communicate clearly with us about your attendance, whether or not you'll be here just because there's someone relying on you. There are things like we may ask you to help with monthly audits of something that we have a deadline on. And if we're not prepared for your absence, that may cause us to miss deadlines. There are also things like, you know, Meals on Wheels. If you are unable to deliver your route and you don't tell us ahead of time, then we don't know to find someone else to cover that route. And so those meals are delivered late, and we're not able to get them to the participants when they need them. So we do ask that you communicate your attendance with us. And that should be done through the volunteer coordinator for your program. And we'll go over that a little bit later. Workplace safety. So I love this little picture of the dogs because he's got his mask on and it's showing us the correct way to wear a mask. And right now, wearing a mask is part of workplace safety for Senior Services. We do have a current mask policy in place. And as that changes, we will provide you with updates. But as an agency, we are committed to the safety of our volunteers and do our best to provide a safe and healthful working environment free from known potential hazards. Everyone is asked to continuously observe all safety policies and to immediately report any unsafe conditions to their supervisor. So some safety tidbits: be sure to buckle up when using a vehicle for your assignment. So if you're out delivering meals, make sure you've got your seatbelt on. Do not use your cell phone while driving. We care about your safety. We want you to be and feel safe while interacting with participants. So if you're interacting with a participant and something just doesn't feel right, or you're uncomfortable with the interaction that you have with them, by all means, please let us know. We don't want you to feel unsafe in any kind of way, shape, or form. You will receive updates when there are changes to safety policies, such as changes related to COVID-19 and mask protocols, which I mentioned before. Please report all accidents or unsafe conditions to the volunteer coordinator for your program. If you are unsure of a task or feel unsafe, do not complete the task. So we don't ever want you to do anything that you don't feel safe doing. If you don't feel safe doing it, please let us know and it will be fine. We'll find another way to adjust the task to make it better for you, or we'll simply reassign it to someone else so that we can still get the work done, but that it's not a situation that makes you feel uncomfortable. And that's fine. Don't do it if it doesn't feel safe. Now, there are some situations where it's kind of outside of our control to be able to provide that safety, such as if you're out delivering Meals on Wheels and there's a loose dog in the neighborhood. Well, that's something outside of our control. You're there, you can see what's happening, but we ask you to use your best judgment in that situation. If you do not feel comfortable because there's a dog running around and you feel like your safety is compromised, you don't know the dog, you don't know whether or not he may bite or if he's safe, then you don't have to deliver that meal. You can write on your note sheet that you don't feel safe, that there was a loose dog wandering, and call back to the office let them know in Meals on Wheels that you did have an issue with being able to deliver that meal so that they can make preparations to get a meal out to that participant later on. And then you can go ahead and continue with the remainder of your route, and then we'll make a note on the route sheet so that the next time another volunteer goes through and knows, hey, we've seen a loose dog in the neighborhood before, just beware, watch out. So we do care about your safety. If you ever have any questions about our safety policies, we do have them online on the current volunteer page. So you're able to access them at any time if you have questions. And at this time, we do have a separate link for our current COVID-19 mask mandate and our screening policy. So before you come in to volunteer, we ask that you do check, do a self-assessment, make sure that you're feeling well that day, that you don't have a fever, cough, runny nose, any kind of symptoms that may indicate that you're not feeling your best. And if you're not feeling well, we do ask that you give us a call or send us an email and let us know, and we'll make sure that we get someone else to cover your assignment. Senior Services prohibits on company property or time the possession, use, transfer, manufacture, or sale of alcohol, illegal drugs, controlled substances without a valid prescription. Any violations of this policy may lead to termination. So again, we are committed to your safety, to the safety of our staff, and to the safety of our participants. And we ask that you refrain from drug use on the property. If you do smoke or vape, please refrain from doing so in your vehicle when carrying meals for delivery or in a participant's home. So we need to consider our participant safety as well, and we do ask that you refrain from that activity around participants. Vehicle use. So any volunteer using their personal vehicle for agency use must maintain a valid driver's license and adhere to federal and state laws while driving. Senior Services is not responsible for any damage done to a vehicle used for the company, and seatbelts are required at all times. So an example of vehicle use for the agency would be delivering Meals on Wheels. You do use your own vehicle to deliver Meals on Wheels, and it is stated when you sign up to deliver meals that you're expected to carry insurance on your vehicle. If for some reason there is an accident, your vehicle insurance is who you would contact. Your personal insurance is who you would contact about that. We do ask that you let us know that you've been in an accident so that we're aware, we can prepare, proper documentation, but it will not be the agency's insurance that covers that. Volunteer performance. We want you to feel prepared to do well with your volunteer assignment. There are a few key aspects of volunteer performance that will help you understand how your task should be performed. And this picture is one of my favorite pictures because it just shows, how committed our volunteers are to really making sure that we provide services and that our participants receive the benefit of our programs no matter what. We know that our volunteers care. We know that you're here because you want to do a good job and because you want to make sure that our participants are well taken care of. And so we thank you for that. And I just think that this picture is a great demonstration of that, being out in the rain with his umbrella, but still being delicate and making sure that those flowers from Grant's garden get safely in the vehicle and delivered to the participant to kind of bring some sunshine on a cloudy day. So some of the ways that you can be prepared to do a great job here as a volunteer and do your best is to just kind of remember customer service, remember your interactions with the participants that you interact with and with staff. Just making sure that we're friendly, we're courteous, we're polite, that we're listening to what people need, and that we're doing our best to provide or do our part in making sure that we meet that need. Job knowledge. Whatever assignment you're given, we will do our best to train you and make sure that you are adequately prepared with the knowledge that you need to perform that task. And so we ask that you pay attention, that you learn as much as you can about that specific role. And, part of that, as you learn the role, there may be some things where you can give us some feedback. So we do expect for you to be knowledgeable because your knowledge can help us improve on that particular task or that role or that assignment. We do ask that you're aware of productivity and accuracy and efficiency. Again, I mentioned earlier things like reporting and some of the guidelines that we are held accountable for. And so as a volunteer, you play a role in that and making sure that things are documented accurately and that they're done in a timely manner. Continuous improvement. So as an agency, we are continuously looking for opportunities for improvement, ways that we can make our programs better, ways that we can better serve the community and our participants. And as a volunteer, you have a role to play in helping us do that. So, keeping your eyes and ears open for ways that you can improve in your role, communicating those ways with us so that, hey, maybe, other volunteers who perform that same task, we can help them improve, make it more efficient, make it easier. And then ultimately that transfers as an improvement in programs and services because we're doing something and not just doing it, but finding ways to do it well. Good communication is important. Letting us know things like when you won't be here, or, communication can also involve your interactions with the participants. If you're at the front desk and on the phone and someone calls in, it's really important that you have that clear line of communication open where you can hear the need and get them to the right program or department in a timely manner, and that they're able to clearly understand that you are there to help. Interpersonal relationships are important, how we relate to each other, how we interact with each other in the building, on staff, and with the participants. It's important, and it plays a key role in your volunteer experience. You will feel better as a volunteer if you're having great interactions with others as well. Adaptability. If the last couple of years have shown us nothing else, it's shown us how to be adaptable, and that adaptability is important. There may be times where we have to change how we do something. And so it makes the volunteer experience better if you can kind of get on board and understand that we had a reason for the change and that we needed to adapt. And as you buy into the adaptation, you'll see and understand that, it works out for all of us. It was a good move to make. And so we ask that you be flexible and adaptable as changes arise. Initiative. So we do greatly appreciate whenever volunteers show initiative. There will be times where you are eyes and ears in places where we are not. And so we appreciate you taking the initiative to identify, some of those things that maybe some blind spots that we don't see in our services or our programs, and coming back and letting us know, taking the initiative to go to someone and say, hey, I noticed that there's a need for this in this particular area. Have you guys ever seen that or thought about it before? And there may not be an immediate response to that, but by you coming and bringing that to us, it may kind of help us get the ball rolling on something that we didn't realize before. Negotiation skills. Now, this may seem like an odd one to have here, but there are times where a participant or someone from the community may come in requesting services, and they may ask you to do something that is outside of our policy. We do want individuals to know that we are here to help, but there are still boundaries to what we're able to do to help. And so part of the negotiation skills will mean that, if you're working the front desk and someone comes in and they ask for something that we're not able to provide, and they just get really demanding or kind of irate, that you know how to handle that situation appropriately. And make sure that they are aware that you are here to help. And I may not be able to do this, but I am able to do that for you. How does that sound? Just the ability to plan is a great skill to have. If we give you a project that may be a project that kind of lasts over several days and not just kind of one day or a one-time assignment, being able to plan through that assignment is important. And then diversity, awareness, and acceptance. So I kind of mentioned earlier about how we're all different and we come from different cultures and different backgrounds. And so the way we live may be different. And just being aware that we are all unique, we're all special, and that through our diversity, we each bring something to the table, whether we are a participant, whether we are a staff member, whether it's someone that's, from the community that's coming in as a walk-in to inquire about services. Just being accepting of all of the different ways that we show up in the world as we express ourselves. Gifts and recognition. So staff and participants alike appreciate the important role that volunteers fulfill through their service. Throughout the year, Senior Services recognize volunteers through small gifts, special events, and encouraging words. Please refrain from accepting gifts, money, or gratuities from any person receiving our services. This includes gift cards and used items. The exception is handmade items valued at less than $20 or homegrown produce. So I will say that when you hear us give encouraging words, if you hear me tell you thank you, if you hear me tell you you have no idea how much your service means to me, we really mean that around here. That really is us recognizing the vital and important role that you play. We truly do appreciate you. We appreciate the value of words to change the feeling and the vibe of a moment. So, just know that when we give you words, we're truly meaning them. But there will be times that we may have small gifts for you, just things to show that we appreciate you. And we do try to have volunteer appreciation events. The picture that's there is from a donut drive-through that we had in 2020. Just we weren't able to have our annual volunteer luncheon just because of COVID and things that were going on, but we still found a way to recognize our volunteers by having a drive-through where Krispy Kreme provided some donuts and coffee for us. And so we were able to say thank you for the work that volunteers do, because it does mean a lot to us in the agency. So satisfaction and feedback. To help us ensure that your volunteer experience is rewarding, we periodically ask for your feedback. A volunteer coordinator may contact you about your volunteer experience. Annual volunteer satisfaction surveys are distributed by email, and exit interviews are offered to volunteers who end their service with us. So there will be times that we reach out to just kind of check in and say, hey, how are things going? What's your experience so far? That may come through email, that may come through a conversation with the volunteer coordinator. There may be times where we're listening for your feedback and you don't even realize that it's happening, but we do value your opinion. We do value your input on the experience that you're having, because this experience is just as much about you as it is about the participants. You're volunteering for a reason, and we want to honor and respect that. If there does come a point in time where you choose to end your service with us, for whatever reason, if you change jobs and you've got to move to Charlotte and you're kind of outside of our program area and it would be difficult for you to maintain a volunteer relationship with us, we do ask that you complete an exit interview, which would come in the form of, an email just to ask a few questions and, find out a few things about your volunteer experience and some of the memories that you may have had, some memorable experiences, some not so great experiences that you think we should know about, some ways that we may be able to improve upon the volunteer experience here at Senior Services. Your input is important to us. So what happens next? So now that we've gone through this video and kind of talked about some general information about the agencies, I'm going to let you know that all volunteers complete an application. If you're watching this video, it's likely that you've already submitted the application, whether it was online or in person. If you found your way to the video but have not done the application yet, we do ask that you go to seniorservicesinc.org, click on the volunteer tab, the Get Involved page, and that you complete a volunteer application. That application will provide us with the necessary contact information that we need to get in touch with you and kind of keep the ball rolling with getting you assigned to a program. Volunteers are required to complete orientation either online or in person, and so this video has been part of that orientation. If you are signing up to volunteer for Meals on Wheels or Call Connections or Friendly Visits, there are additional program-specific videos that you would need to watch. There's one for Meals on Wheels led by Paige Riley, the Meals on Wheels volunteer coordinator. And then there's another one for Call Connections and Friendly Visits, which is done by Melissa Smith, who is the Director of Creative Aging. And she talks about the Call Connections program and Friendly Visits and kind of gives you some more information on that that's not covered here in this video. Once you've completed those videos and once you've had an opportunity to look through the volunteer handbook online, we do ask that you scroll to the bottom of the same page that you're finding this video on, and there's another button that links to an acknowledgement form at the bottom of the page. So that acknowledgement form will just kind of, ask you, hey, please check off the items that you reviewed in the handbook or in the videos. Did you watch the video? Did you see our social media policy? Did you understand these things? And just submit that form with your name. And that triggers me to let me know that you've completed orientation. We've got your application on file, and so we're ready to do your background check. Now, we do require background checks for all new applicants. And the reason we do this is that we serve a population that we want to make sure that we keep them safe. And so we do background checks and background screenings. If there are issues with your background check, please know that that does not automatically disqualify you for service. It just helps us understand where you may be the best fit within the organization, which roles may be better for you than others. You will be contacted by email or by phone to discuss which programs have positions open and where you are likely to have the most rewarding experience. So your application, your acknowledgement form, your background checks, all of that information comes to me as the volunteer manager. And then I will reach out to you on the application. We do ask what's your preferred method of contact. So I'll look at that and say, oh, this person likes email. So I'll shoot you an email just to kind of touch base and connect with you personally, if you've not already gotten that email from me already. And just to kind of get an idea of what your motivations are. Sometimes you may see that we have a specific need in one area, but may not be aware of another opportunity that just wasn't advertised where you found out about us. And so in those conversations and in my interactions with you, I'll try to look for areas that I think, hey, you listed that one of your hobbies was visual arts. And so did you know that we have volunteers that go into the homes and do art lessons with participants? And that may not have been something that you saw in the application, but if that's something that I see, I'll make sure that I share that opportunity with you. And then once we kind of get you through the process, once we've got all of the documentation in place, your background check done, and we, touch base about which programs would be right for you, the next step will be for me to connect you with a volunteer coordinator for the program that you'll be volunteering for. So I'm the volunteer manager, and I handle recruiting, and I handle, reporting and the information on the backside of it. But we do have volunteer coordinators or liaisons for each program that hosts volunteers. And so those are the people that you will have the most contact with. Those are the ones that will be able to provide training, specific training for the program you're volunteering with. For our front desk volunteers, it's Rhonda Lee. She runs the hub, and so she'll be the one who teaches you how to handle and manage the phones and the guests if you are a volunteer who's going to help us in the reception area. Paige Riley is the volunteer coordinator for Meals on Wheels. So once we get you all signed up and through the application process, if you're a Meals on Wheels volunteer, I'll connect you with her, and she'll be the one to reach out to you to schedule a time for you to come in for your first route. She'll be the one that kind of help you work through which days, which routes you'll go on. And when you come in, she'll make sure that you know what to do your first day here. For call connections and for friendly visits, it's Melissa Smith. And so again, I will connect you with her if you are a volunteer for that area, and she'll reach out just like the other volunteer coordinators, get you scheduled to come in for orientation and training and let you know what next steps are. And then for our Williams Adult Day Center is Cynthia Becker and Sylvia Martin. And so those ladies will be the ones to reach out to you next after me if you will be volunteering with the Day Center.